Oh, look, another very peaceful and tolerant leftist.
You love Trump?
What?
You love Trump?
Yeah, why? Stay away from me. Stay away from me.
Piece of shit.
And then that person ends up attacking him. As, of course, we had a very similar situation happening at Berkeley, as a lot of people are saying this type of behavior is being excused. It's being allowed. What is the Trump administration actually doing here? As Mike Cernovich has some very interesting questions to ask here, as there's people who express an opinion that I disagree with, that are being arrested and sued, as there's literally other people that are celebrating death of another demographic that are just allowed to do it. A lot of double standards here, as Savannah Hernandez had some very interesting context, as well as Tim Pool that talks about how the conservatives are still trying to have an argument while the Democrats are literally preparing and waging war. All of this, as the answer, a lot of people believe, will come through financial changes, as a lot of people are arguing what the Trump administration is doing right now is an effort to try to deal with some of these problems. But in all actuality, they might be inadvertently feeding the beast that is creating a lot of the problems for us. We're going to be discussing that and a lot more, all here on this independent media broadcast. And if you appreciate these type of conversations, subscribe, click the notification button, as of course we greatly appreciate all the time you spend with us. Now, yesterday, at a TPUSA event at the UC Berkeley, a very leftist, liberal type of institution where we have previously seen the Battle of Berkeley, where leftists and right-wingers previously clashed together, and police officers literally just took a step back and said, yeah, guys, go have at it. I was at a lot of those battles of Berkeley's. Things were very severe, very insane, as of course there was block by block type of street fighting of radical leftists and right-wingers saying, hey, we just want to talk on the campus. And then, of course, Proud Boys came in and said, we're going to defend ourselves. I was there during Moldy Locks. I filmed that. That was an insane exchange. I was there when the bike lock guy got hit, blood gushing everywhere. I was right next to him. There was full-on just bricks flying left and right. And yesterday, we also saw some blood, as it looks like there was a young man that was selling shirts that said freedom on them. He was surrounded, accosted. His merchandise, his gear, was thrown on the floor. And then his Christian chain was ripped off of his neck. He gave chase. There was an altercation. Cops came in. And, you know, of course, they made sure to arrest him after he was left bloody. We're not going to show you the bloodiness. But a lot of people were chanting, what happened, white boy? Hey, white boy, what happened? As the leftist crowds previously beforehand were all cheering, F, you're dead, homie. Specifically outside of the TPUSA event, an organization previously run by Charlie Kirk that was killed by leftists. This type of behavior is sick. It shows very little morals. It shows very little care and consideration for any type of decorum, any type of civilized type of behavior. And listen, when Tim Pool comes out and says they're preparing for war, I don't think he's wrong. Especially when you see such vitriol, such type of demonic, angry, pissed off, insane people that have clearly no impulse control, clearly are there to celebrate death, clearly aren't really morally inclined. And you have to ask yourself, where's all of this going? Savannah Hernandez was there last night, and she says, after what I witnessed at UC Berkeley, it became very clear to me that the administration is not taking Antifa seriously, and the labeling of Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization has zero effect. Now, Mike Cernovich has some interesting comments, specifically what happened to this one white guy that was bloodied and beat up by the group, then arrested. He says, I can promise you, Ted Cruz won't say anything. Barry Weiss won't have a 60-minute segment on CBS about anti-white hatred. Media will ignore it, and they are. Now, if that one white guy was Jewish, let's be honest, the situation would be completely different. There was a huge national story. Why? because Dave Portnoy was doing like a little pizza review, and then some guy said something racist. I don't agree with the guy who said something racist, but in America, we have free speech. The guy was later arrested. National news everywhere. This guy got arrested and beat up and made fun of because of predominantly him being white. Nothing? Right? Nothing? Are you kidding me? As of course, Mike Cernovich says white people are seen as a target for violence. They are. And the hypocrisy, the layers of double standards here are pretty clear, especially with what the media, what this administration sees as a priority. As Mike Cernovich says, but don't shout free Palestine. That means you get expelled by Trump. Yeah. The double standards are very big here. As Savannah Hernandez goes on saying, if anything, it's emboldened these violent anarchists. A lot of them are just statists. They're not really anarchists. They want more government, not less. Leftist, communist. Quote, this is a violent group within the U.S. that has used violence, threats, intimidation, and has resorted to murder in more instances than one to kill Americans. Last night, they were allowed to terrorize innocent Americans for hours while openly calling for everyone in attendance to be killed by labeling them all fascists. Yeah, you know who else is doing that? Mark Levin. Randy Fine. They're calling Tucker Carlson a fascist, which is insane. And they're using the same playbook. They're using the same playbook as the left. While we are in this extremely tumultuous, hot freaking scenario and situation that a lot of people believe is only going to lead to more violence. And then you're saying, hey guys, hey leftists, hey violent mob that hasn't been stopped, that has been emboldened, actually has come out and voted more than they ever have. And instead of saying, hey guys, it's like, no, you better not say anything. As of course she goes on, while they proceeded to chant "Death to Fascists," they also made a point to continue to celebrate and normalize the assassination of Charlie Kirk. There were multiple children present last night that weren't even able to safely walk into a speaking event because Antifa were lighting off flares and attacking people and calling for violence all night. Yeah, what do you call that? Now, what would happen if this was a Jewish event? Let's just be honest with ourselves. This would be nonstop, 24/7 around the news. Headlines, administration, the FBI, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi would be there, right? And again, I don't think it should be done to any group or any identity, right? The right's not doing this to the left, but if they were, I'd be like, guys, this is stupid. Allow them to speak. They should have a right to express themselves. But a lot of people are saying you shouldn't afford them the same type of rights. And one of those people making those arguments is Tim Pool. Now, she also says, Savannah Hernandez, I could see the fear in their eyes. Extremely strong show of force by Antifa once again, and a continued weak show of force from the government, who deemed them a domestic terror organization with zero follow-through. And again, a lot of the times they're able to do whatever they wanted to do. Drew Hernandez says, Bondi will talk tough on Fox News to them, and they will be scared, shaking in their militant boots. Quote, Dominique Michael Trippi says, Golden Age. I told you I wasn't blackpilling. I was just being honest about how spineless, dishonest, and weak this administration and the entire party is. And here's Tim Pool, who I think made some very interesting comments about all of this.
But the fact that you got attacked by Antifa and they arrested you shows this is not about law enforcement. This is
the same thing that happened to the guy yesterday.
About partisan conflict. And the way I described it was the police in Portland don't see you as a victim of a crime. They see you as an antagonistic enemy partisan invading their home. That's why I'm like, this is not about the merits of law enforcement, law, Congress. This is political partisans deciding when they want to defend their home and when they don't. But conservatives keep acting as though we're in an argument while Democrats are acting like they're in a war.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what they're being told, especially,
Listen, some people are saying, no, that's too much of a hyperbolic statement. It's too much crazy, but you see it for yourself. It's pretty clear. One group gets to choose violence, gets to destroy speech, gets to intimidate. And another group, for many years, was even too afraid to say learn to code. Now, before playing Nick Sorter's response here, As of course he came out and was like, yeah, there was legitimate threats against my life. Before talking about that and a lot more, playing the rest of this clip and getting into it, we just quickly and shortly wanted to tell you about the bestpoliticalshirts.com, where you can get shirts like the one that I'm wearing right now. The one that I'm wearing right now says Disgruntled Dissident. If you want to find it, just type in Dissident on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. Bada bing, bada boom. It pops right up. And we have a bunch of different shirts for different type of scenarios and situations. This one is just a kind of funny one that I have here. And I like, trying to get into the culture. I think it's more important than ever to stand up for your ideas, to show that you're not afraid of them. And I think a lot of people who are on the sidelines, a lot of people who are just being, oh no, I don't want to express myself because there might be retribution, is why there's retribution. Right? If enough of people say enough is enough, this is who we are, this is what we stand for, this is the ideas that we represent, that right there is something that I think is more important than ever during this key important cultural juncture that all of us are in. And even if you don't want to be too serious, we also have some very funny shirts that are very ridiculous, that get people to laugh, that at least take the temperature down in the room significantly, in my own personal opinion. Because if you're able to make someone laugh, you're able to break through, and you're able to have real conversations, real connections. And we need that more than ever. If you agree, check out thebestpoliticalshirts.com. Support us and support this independent media organization at the same time. Now, here's Nick Sorter explaining how there was a very serious threat against his life.
They think they're in a war against literal Nazis and fascists, and I mean, you hear that especially on the streets of Portland. At one point, I got such a credible death threat from a trans individual. We'll publish more about this soon. That I ended up backing off the streets for a few days out there. Wow. Because that individual was literally looking for me, was armed and looking for me, and there was nothing that was going to be done about it. Portland police, really don't show up very much on the streets out there.
And then the judges in those states are like, yeah, you can't send in National Guard. What, are you crazy? As right-wingers are getting attacked, and then right-wingers are getting arrested. And then the judges, right, and the criminal court systems there are like, oh, yeah, you should have never been there. It's your fault. It's your problem. I'm like, what?
This is how it ended up working. When I was out on the streets of, I was talking with my attorneys and stuff that are working out there. We put together a 22-page pattern and practice of the Portland police going back years, showing how they operate against Antifa folks versus people that are perceived to be pro-Trump.
Yep, and we've seen this multiple times, even with pro-medical freedom individuals that were attacked by Antifa, that I personally know, that have nothing to do with right-wing politics. All they have to do is with the MAHA movement, the health movement, that isn't even involved. As, of course, these Antifa people were even attacking people who are going up against the lockdowns. People were saying, hey, you should have some medical freedom, your body, your choice. They were being attacked. As, of course, Antifa is a perfect kind of establishment tool that they use in order to propel and push a lot of the policies that are very reductive against civil liberties, personal freedoms, and freedom in general, which is wild. It's like their perfect kind of CIA army of government boot-loving individuals that want you to be a part of the state.
Where they won't issue you permits for protests if you're doing pro-Trump permits, but they will enforce the law against you if you try to have a permitless protest. Meanwhile, we see Antifa going out there, trying to burn down buildings, taking over streets, and none of that is ever enforced against them.
Yeah, and the police officers are standing by like, we see left-wingers steal property from right-wingers. Cops are just waiting there, and we see this time after time, and they're like, oh yeah, someone stole someone's property. Whatever. We'll just be there. Officially kind of putting their stamp of approval on it. Being like, yeah, you could do this in front of us. Yeah, you could assault them. Yeah, take their hats. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, take their chains. Right? Now, the incident yesterday, one guy selling Freedom t-shirts outside of the TP USA event, the gang surrounds him. This is when the police officers come in and be like, leave this guy alone. Stop harassing this guy. There's guys smoking a cigarette in his face. There's people that just threw his property threw it away. That's when the police officer should have came in. They didn't. They waited until the guy got his religious Christian chain snatched. Guy went after the guy stealing his chain. Scuffle broke out. They fought. Cops arrest the guy. And I'm like, the cops could have just intervened, but of course they don't. Why? Because a lot of times they're leftist liberal activists too. They're just police officers. They're just order followers. And a lot of the times their bosses are like, yeah, listen, I'm a leftist. You're gonna be a good order follower. You got it? You got it, buddy? And the cop's like, okay, just tell me what to do, boss. Yeah, you see those right wingers? Wait until they fight back after they get attacked. Then arrest them too. Okay, boss. You got it, boss. Yes, boss. You got it. Anything else? Yeah, make sure they get bloodied up. You got it, boss. That's literally what happens. You want to deny that reality? You think all cops are right-wingers? You're crazy, especially in these like leftist liberal towns like San Francisco, where Berkeley is, where a lot of them are just liberal. And they're like, yeah, I don't like this guy. Oh, he's getting his property stolen. No, I'm just going to look the other way. And it happens. It happens a lot more than we understand it to.
And it's wild to me that this has been going on for over 10 years now, and hardly anything has changed. Nothing has been done. The federal government needs to come in and put their foot down here. And I'll release that document here, hopefully today, maybe even tomorrow. But the DOJ is working with me very closely on that.
Wow.
So hopefully something will happen.
We'll see. But what will be the proper response here? How do you respond to all of this? As, of course, Mike Cernovich here kind of has the big picture. He takes a step back and looks at everything, and he says, 50-year mortgages, 600,000 CCP spies in college around the country, Antifa attacks in Berkeley. Does Trump want Democrats to win the midterms in a blue wave? Because, again, they're becoming more emboldened. They had another scout. They had another guy that they bloodied up and said, yeah, white guy, good. Yeah, white man. Yeah, Christian white man, we're going to make an example out of you, and you're going to be arrested. You're going to be charged. And then Trump's administration's like, whoop-de-doo. We're going to have to keep 600 Chinese students that will pay extra to these universities that will finance them even more, that allow this type of behavior, codifying it that much more. Oh, the young kids are being disenfranchised and becoming more and more politically radicalized and going over to leftist liberal ideology that keeps promising them free handouts. Yeah, best we could do is 50-year mortgages. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? 50-year Why not just serfdom to the banks? How much money are you going to be paying for that house? My goodness, this is insane and totally out of touch with the reality. Whoever is doing PR and maneuvers for this administration isn't doing a good job. Michael Flynn even came out. Sorry, Donald Trump. If we didn't allow 600,000 Chinese spies to steal even more intellectual property and other ideas, how to dominate our way of life, it wouldn't make a dent in U.S. colleges and universities. The Chinese literally wrote the book on unrestricted warfare. A book suggests is a mandatory reading for all leaders within an administration. In terms of numbers, there are 4,000 colleges and universities with a total of 19 million students. On average, student population of 4,842 per. Their 600K represents a 0.3% total, not even a drop in the bucket. They do pay double college tuition. We simply don't need to help the Chinese anymore with their plans to sole superpower the century. Let's not give the Chinese any more leverage. And again, Donald Trump came out. He's like, oh, yeah, no, this is a pro-America policy.
Are not thrilled about this idea of hundreds of thousands of foreign students in the United States. We have about 350,000 Chinese. One point during COVID, you were going to, push to, get them out, but that was pulled back. You've said as many as 600,000 Chinese students could come to the United States. Why, sir, is that a pro-MAGA position when so many American kids want to go to school and there are places not for them, and these universities are getting rich off Chinese money?
Sure. Never said about China, but we do have a lot of people coming in from China. We always have, China and other countries. We also have a massive system of colleges and universities. And
the only time they were reined in was through alleged promotion of anti-Israel ideas. But what about the anti-what ideas, right, that are being institutionalized, that are being codified, that are racist, that are discriminatory? They're not being reined in for that.
If we were to cut that in half, which perhaps makes some people happy, you would have half the colleges in the United States go out of business.
So what?
Well, I think that's a big deal.
Yeah, good. They're the ones pushing this woke mind virus from the intel agencies that are literally creating racist and discriminatory policies. Why are you propping up institutions like Berkeley that openly discriminate and hurt your people and your ideology?
Are they fans
You would have the
of the United States?
Yeah, but you would have, as you know, historically, black colleges and universities would all be out of business. You would have it.
There was another incident of a guy saying, hey, let's have a debate at an all-black college. They didn't just kick him out. They assaulted him. They attacked him. They stole his property. Cops were just standing by watching. And you're like, no, we got to protect them. Why? When they're attacking you and your ideology, as of course, the mistakes are just continuing to be made here. As of course, Trump's like, yeah, give everyone $2,000 checks. You think that's going to make people like you? Get rid of payroll taxes. How about that? And allow people who actually create jobs to actually be able to create more jobs. Insane. I think this is an absolutely wrong direction. I think absolutely there needs to be way more done here. And if you agree, share this video. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys sharing these videos, getting the t-shirts, supporting independent media. And this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more. All here exclusively on youtube.com/weird.